Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide. We're going on a brilliant journey back in time today. So, go ahead and grab your imaginary time machines, because we are traveling straight back to ancient Rome and a fascinating place called Hispania. Let's get right into it.
But before we really set off, I want you to just stop for a second and think about this. Imagine a single city, just one city, that grew so incredibly strong that it ruled most of the known world for 1,000 years. I mean, how in the world do you think they actually pulled that off? Well, let's find out together.
Look at all that huge purple space stretching across the map. That right there is the giant Roman Empire. And the crazy thing is, this whole massive empire started from just one single city, Rome. It was founded thousands of years ago, way back in the year 753 BC, and it just kept growing and growing for about 1,000 years, right up until the year 8476.
Now, right in the middle of all that land is a huge body of water. The Romans conquered all the land all the way around the Mediterranean Sea. And they felt so powerful that they actually gave this sea a special name. They called it Mare Nostrum. In their language, that literally means our sea. So they basically treated this giant, beautiful ocean like it was their very own massive swimming pool.
But, as you can probably guess, to build an empire that huge and to just claim an entire sea, well, the Romans couldn't exactly just ask nicely, could they? They needed something absolutely crucial. They needed a very, very strong army. And this army was made up of incredibly tough, special soldiers. We call a Roman soldier a legionary.
Just take a look at the shiny metal armor and that heavy helmet on the Roman legionary here. These tough soldiers were highly trained. They marched for miles and miles, and they're the ones who helped Rome defeat loads of different peoples all over the world.
Now, the Romans really wanted to control a very special piece of land called the Peninsula Iberica. They gave it the name Hispania. But there was a catch. Another group called the Carthaginians, well, they wanted it too. So, naturally, they fought. And get this, in battle, the Carthaginians actually used giant elephants. I mean, can you even imagine being a Roman soldier and suddenly seeing a massive elephant charging straight at you? No way!
So, let's look at a timeline to see exactly what happened. We know Rome was founded in 753 BC, but look right there in the middle, at 218 BC. That is a very important year. That's the year the powerful Roman army finally defeated the Carthaginians and chased them right away from Hispania for good. But let me tell you, actually conquering all of Hispania, it was not easy at all. The Romans took control of the warm beaches and the Mediterranean coast super quickly. But the people living inland, away from the sea, they were incredibly brave and put up a really strong fight. Because of that, the cold, mountainous north was actually the very last area the Romans were finally able to capture.
Okay, so once the Romans finally had all this new land, how did they even organize it all? Well, they divided it up into smaller pieces called provinces. You can kind of think of a province just like how a big country today is divided up into different states or regions, just to make it a bit easier to run. And each Roman province was ruled by a powerful leader called a governor.
You can see how Hispania was sliced up into those different provinces. Notice how they're separated into those pink, yellow, and purple areas. The Romans built loads of new cities here, and they connected all of them with a massive network of really strong stone roads. Those are marked by the red lines you see there. It's basically like a giant puzzle coming together.
Right, so now that we know all about the land itself, let's talk about the people. Who actually lived in Hispania? Well, society back then was basically split into two completely different groups. You were either a free person or you were a slave.
Let's look at the free people first. There were two main types. First, you had a patrician. A patrician was a very rich, free person who held a whole lot of power. Then you had a plebeian. A plebeian was a free farmer, a craftsperson who made things, or maybe a merchant who sold things. And actually, these hardworking plebeians made up the largest group of people in the entire society.
Let's just compare them side by side for a second. The rich patricians are over on the left there. Look at them, wearing elegant, fancy clothes inside a beautiful home with their very own pool. Then the hardworking plebeians are on the right. They're wearing simple, comfortable clothes, much better for working outside all day with their heavy tools.
Now, we do have to talk about the other group of people. And I have to say, this is a much sadder part of history. Slaves. Slaves were actually owned by other people. They had absolutely no rights whatsoever, and they couldn't own anything of their own.
As you can see, they worked very, very hard for the rich families. They had to clean homes, work outside on hot farms, dig deep down in really dangerous, dark mines, and sometimes they even had to fight for entertainment as gladiators in a giant outdoor stadium called an amphitheater.
So, what was life like for Roman women? Well, whether a woman was free or a slave, the rules back then said she always had to obey the men in her family, usually her father or her husband. But on a slightly happier note, Roman women actually had much more liberty, which is just another word for freedom, than women in other places, like Greece, for example. Roman women were allowed to own their own property, they could work, and even manage businesses, and they were allowed to go out and enjoy fun festivals and performances in the city.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The absolutely crucial point we've learned today is that life in Roman Hispania was this incredible adventure, but it was very, very different depending on exactly who you were. We've learned all about shiny soldiers, rich patricians, hardworking plebeians, and the really difficult lives of slaves. Now, I want to leave you with this fun final thought. If you had a time machine and you lived back in Roman Hispania, what job would you want to have? Really think about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. You've been absolutely brilliant. Keep on learning.